everybody, I'm Lorii Abela, your soulmate expert and Asian matchmaker. Welcome to tonight's episode of Matchmaker Secrets, where we talk about love, dating, and of course, matchmaking. So time and again, we have always been wondering how are the singles out there trying to navigate love. And interestingly enough, I was just wondering because obviously if you love, hearing about dating, you probably have binge watched those reality TV shows about love. And there was the Indian matchmaking, and then of course the Love is Blind, or there's also that Bachelor and Bachelorette, and the most recent one, which was I consider a failure, is that Golden Bachelor. And you know what happened there, it didn't end up well after they got married. And I'm just talking about that because our guest tonight is he is a known musician and marketing professional, but he is one of the lead actors in the TV series Jewish Matchmaking. He also has 2 dogs. I have to name them, Rosalita and Bailey.
I'll be very happy about that.
And then the other thing that I have to tell you is that he has actually joined us in our recent event that I have hosted about singles dating. So it's mixers. And again, let's meet Stuart Chaseman. How are you?
How are you?
Stuart?
Thank you for having me.
Pretty good. So what do you call that? Tell us, before we delve into the question and answer of the serious stuff, how did you find out about the Love is Blind? How was it for you?
Very impressed with your event. I think you put on a good event. I'd highly recommend checking it out. There's a lot of fun going on. You facilitated making the conversation very easy by having different games and activities instead of just setting us loose in the wild. And I'm sure some people met somebody of interest there.
Yes. Never lose the faith. Because someday, it's going to show up. And so tell me about, how was your overall experience being in the TV show? That's a TV show, Jewish Matchmaking.
It was right up my alley, and unfortunately I didn't get a match in terms of falling in love, but I like attention, I like exposure. It was just totally my thing. When you go into it, I think you have to understand you're making a TV show. You're not really, I think everyone knows that reality needs to be in quotes. It's not fake, nothing is scripted, but they are definitely there for the purpose of making a TV show and not finding me a match. I think we made some interesting TV. I know I got a lot of attention online. I got a lot of interesting proposals from people who saw me. Interestingly enough, it usually didn't come directly from the person to date. It usually was, hey, I think you should date my mother, or hey, I think you should date my daughter, or something like that, like 1 degree removed. But yeah, I got a lot of interesting proposals, and hopefully some people are listening to my music for the first time, and it was a great experience. I'm hoping to be on season 2.
Okay, that's great. And so I was just wondering, how does the Stuart Chaseman we see portrayed on TV different from the real Stuart Chaseman?
Oh, completely different. When I auditioned for no, I'm just kidding. That's me. The one thing I don't have control of is the edit. So, they could choose a certain angle and only represent one part of you, but that was me. That's who I was. Interestingly enough, some people online hypothesized that I was quote unquote in character. One person said he talks so slow that he can't actually be like that. He's either baked all the time or his mom dropped him on his head as a kid. And I know I'm not baked all the time, so I'm not too sure if I was dropped on my head as a kid. But almost all the comments were positive. I got a really great response. It seems like I connected with people. I just tried to be my true self. I didn't try to put on any airs. I didn't try to be anything different. And hopefully there was a certain authenticity to everything I did on the show because it was the real me.
Okay, all right, including the attire, right?
They did set me up with a stylist, and she whispered to me off camera, "Oh, your style's great. I'm just going to say some stuff, but don't take any of it too hard." And Yeah, but yeah, they let me dress how I want to dress.
Okay, I think that's perfect because, like, that's the real authentic you. And so, like, obviously, they just want to make some changes because, like, they want you to be compatible with the other people who you're matching with, I would imagine, so that, it will be actually like, okay, they match with whatever, like, they have in their style.
I think the idea is to be the best version of yourself without
Okay,
really
so that's what they
changing
said. Okay.
Those are my words, but I'm thinking that's the idea.
Okay, all right. So what you call that? But that's understandable. Like, the best version of yourself. But I think, like, a musician is always going to be a musician.
Sure.
Yeah, like, I'm sure, like, you have seen Mark Zuckerberg. So he's always wearing his black shirt and then jeans. So that's his style. Mm-hmm. Even though you can say, like, oh, he has made a lot of money, but still, that's his style. But of course, his reasoning is different because he doesn't want to be thinking about what he's going to wear because, like, he already knows that he always have something black and jeans.
Yeah, I think when you're as successful as Mark Zuckerberg, you could get away with wearing whatever you want to wear. No one's going to say anything.
Okay, got it. So I know that you were talking to the host, Elisa, as the matchmaker and dating coach. So do you have any key takeaways that you have used in your dating after the show?
Not specifically that Elisa told me. Interestingly enough, prior to going on Jewish matchmaking, I'm Jewish, obviously. I wouldn't be on the show if I wasn't Jewish. That was never really a priority to me. But since the show and getting a lot of exposure in the Jewish community, I'm thinking maybe I should have prioritized that a bit more. I mean, I'm totally open to meeting a Gentile girl and everything like that, but it is just one more thing on the checklist to have in common. I'm so not religious, though, and I completely forgot your question. Elisa, I've gotten to know Elisa a little bit more since the taping of the show. We did a couple events together. We did 3 events together post filming for live audiences. And, I think her hands were tied a little bit as a matchmaker because the process of being on a TV show is you have to go through a long approval process. You have to meet with a psychiatrist. You had to prove to a rabbi you were Jewish. So it wasn't like she could just go into her database and pick different people out for me. I think she was kind of limited to people who applied on the TV show. The 2 women I met were great women. One problem is one was in Atlanta and one was in New York, and I'm in Chicago. And I don't really know how you date someone long distance. And, I mean, I think if you start off in a relationship and it's great and then one person moves away, then that could possibly work. But when you're starting from scratch and not even knowing the person, it's pretty difficult. It's a pretty difficult obstacle to overcome. Okay. But they were really nice girls, and Elisa seems very qualified to do what she does. Probably only slightly less qualified than you are.
So let me ask you, is there anything that you actually learn, not necessarily just your take, but from what you have seen, like all those other participants, did you learn anything that okay, like maybe that's something that I can take away from this thing?
One thing that the viewers and you don't know is they actually set me up with a dating coach, and they did not use that whole segment on the show. The thing you have to remember is they'll film like 7,000 hours of television and use like a half hour of it. They set me up with a dating coach, and she gave me a good score. She said I did good across the board. The stylist told me that I'm a large and not an extra large. So then I was worried maybe that's been the problem my whole life, is I've been wearing the wrong size. So that was one takeaway. Elisa's really big on, she has this expression, date them till you hate them. Just make sure you get, that's a little bit too much. If I'm at the dislike point, I don't think I have to go all the way to hate. I think if I dislike the person, that's probably enough. But I'm open to everybody's input. I've been doing this a very long time and haven't been married, so I'm definitely ready for that, and I'm open to any input anyone has to give me.
Yeah, I get that, because like earlier I was talking to one of the trainees over here and trainers over here, and he was telling me that, okay, I asked him, so how are things? And he said like, okay, like, it's a so-so. And then, like, going back to your, statement that, okay, you're not gonna date this person, till you hate them, because, like, I think, like, that's what his point is. Like, the Chicago ones are much more transparent. They're gonna tell you, like, how it is. So, yeah, they're not gonna, tag you along. Okay, like, I still gonna see you, and then, like,
You mean people present a false version of themselves and not as much in Chicago?
No, they just tell you, like, okay, tell you what it is. Like, okay, like, because you were talking about, Alisa's she was saying that you have to actually date them till you hate them. And so, like, you were saying that, I will not date them long enough, like, because, like, you see there's no potential in that.
Sure.
So that's, I'm just saying, like, the people in Chicago will just, like, stop at a certain point. They're not going to continue because they see what it is. Like, the honesty is there.
I met one person from Chicagoland that kind of contradicts that theory.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
We were a match in a lot of ways, and I dated her for 2 years, and she pretended to be a liberal, because my politics are very left of center. And she pretended that was her way of viewing the world as well, because she wanted me to like her.
Oh.
And after 2 years, she couldn't suppress it anymore. And all this, like, super conservative stuff about welfare mothers abusing the system and all. I'm like, who are you? What is this? This isn't what I signed up for. I don't understand what the point would be in presenting a false version of yourself, because if someone falls for that false person, do you plan on keeping that up for a lifetime? They say don't talk about religion or politics too soon.
That's too long. 2 years.
Yeah, I know. I think you need to get that out of the way, because if there's a deal breaker there, you don't want to learn way down and further along in the process.
Yeah. Oh my God, I cannot believe that, that lady, maybe it's not really like she wants you to like her, but I think, like, she's really into you, because, like, why would she do that?
Yeah, and can you blame her?
That's true. And so, what do you call that? And how did you discover about it? She just suddenly opened her mouth, okay, like, what?
It just started creeping out as if she was just holding it in and she couldn't stand it anymore, and just all at once it started coming out, and I wasn't a fan of that. I mean, someone's politics doesn't have to line up perfectly with mine, but it's easier to negotiate the knee-deep crap of life if you have similar values and similar way of looking at the world, I think, and particularly in today's political climate.
Yeah. And so, did you actually, you said you got more attention from the show. So, like, out of those people who actually connected with you, did you actually find anybody who's noteworthy or something?
No one that stuck. Like I said, a big obstacle is people writing from all over the country. Unless someone was right in Chicago, is difficult. There are some people that I chatted with for a while to see if it would go anywhere. But, it just takes so much effort. And again, I just think the distance is a big problem. And I'm very happy with the amount of attention I got. I'm very flattered by the different emails I got, but unfortunately that still didn't lead to a match.
Okay, and so I would just wonder, what is the pickup line of women?
Oh, what do they say to me?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's usually not from the person directly. Usually they want to set me up with their mother. They want to set me up with their daughter. Usually they say they saw me on the show and they really liked my sense of humor. None of them said anything about me. Surprisingly, none of them said anything about me being devastatingly handsome. But they said they liked my sense of humor, and a lot of people reached out not to be set up with me, just to say they saw me on the show and they wanted to say hi, and that's always nice. I respond to everybody. I don't even the negative emails. I respond to everybody. It's interesting. Like I alluded to before, there's a huge process before you're cast on the show. There are only 9 primary cast members, and part of the process was meeting with their psychiatrist. And they said to me, do you have any issue meeting with our psychiatrist? And I'm just like, mine hasn't done anything for me in 20 years. Maybe yours will knock something back in place. And a big thing he focused on with me was, how are you going to react if you get negative attention online? How are you going to react to this and that? And I think they really want to make sure that you don't go completely postal if somebody posts something you don't like. But like I said, I was very happy with some of the cast members, and I won't mention their names. Some of them got very negative reactions.
Really?
Yeah. If you follow the show, you might have a good guess.
So I didn't even know that, you being the wholesome person over there who makes people laugh, and then you still get negative reviews.
It's 95% positive.
Okay, all right. Oh my God. Okay. So, like you were saying earlier that, you probably can think about like considering a Gentile. So, what do you think about the dating scene in Chicago, considering that you're Jewish?
I mean, there is a large Jewish population in Chicago, like most of the big cities. Like I said, it's not mandatory for me. I'm not religious. I don't go to synagogue. But there is something cultural to the way you were brought up. And it's something. If you list all the positive attributes and everything you have in common and the things you don't have in common, that's one more thing on the plus list. That doesn't mean I can't be a perfect match with a Gentile girl. That doesn't mean that if it's a Jewish girl that I'm automatically going to match in every way. It's just one more little attribute. And how that is in Chicago to other cities, I'm not too sure. I suppose I would have a more difficult time finding a Jewish girl to date in Utah or something like that.
Okay. And so you were saying earlier that you haven't been married. So I was just wondering, because I understand that the Jewish family is so closely knit. Did your parents ask you okay, when are you going to get married? I'm just wondering, is it like that as well?
I think my parents are like most parents. They just want me to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an only child though, so my parents are deceased now. They never had grandkids because, at least if they had any, I don't know where they are at this point. But no, they never had grandkids. But they have grandpuppies, like you mentioned. And They were very good grandparents to the puppies. They certainly never said I'm disappointed that you didn't get married, but I think they knew that would have made me happy, and for whatever reason, that just wasn't the universe's will. I hope it still happens, but for whatever reason, my journey didn't involve getting married in my 20s and having kids and everything like that. But we'll see what the future holds. Okay,
all right. So I was just wondering, because for you, what do you actually say if, somebody, I'm sure somebody asks you, so why aren't you married yet? Do you say anything I'm not sure how.
Could you give me some standard lines I could use? It sounds like such a cliche, but I just haven't met the right person.
That's true.
I don't know. There's been girls who've wanted to marry me. I went as far as premarital therapy with a girl once. And I don't like to give advice, but the one piece of advice I'm comfortable giving is, if you ever find yourself in premarital therapy arguing about everything, just split the check at that point. Say, it was nice knowing you. Just trade that one in, because it's not worth it if you haven't invested years and years and years. Just not quite the right fit yet.
Okay, so you're saying that premarital therapy was not working something.
I think if you go into premarital therapy and you're a really good match and everything's going well and they teach you even more tools that you could grow with, then it's great. If you're going to premarital therapy and every time you meet there it's very contentious and you're arguing, and then it's probably not meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It shouldn't be that difficult, in my opinion.
Okay, so at least it worked for you because you realized, okay, this is not the person for me. Yeah. Otherwise, you could have been stuck with.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful for that.
So now, because like you said, you haven't found anybody. What are you specifically looking for in a person, in a woman?
Someone who's laid back, someone who gets me, someone who gets my sense of humor, someone who has similar interests as I do, someone who appreciates my talents, and someone who has something to bring to the party themselves. I'm passionate about my music. I don't expect them to necessarily be passionate about music, but have something that you do that gets you excited, that you're passionate about. I think you have to have the right blend of commonalities and differences, because I don't think you want someone who's like a photocopy of you, because what fun is that? You want them to expose you to different things, but then you have to have enough commonalities that you could grow together as a team. But again, don't try this at home, because nothing I say you should give too much weight to, because I'm still here doing it.
Okay, and so based on your experience, do women usually get the sense of humor that you have? Not sure, like, from those people that you have dated.
Some do, some don't. Sometimes I have standard things I say, and if they get the joke, then I know they don't know that they're being tested. But if they get the joke, I'll say something like, if they say, how old are you? I'll say, I'm 53, but I read at a 56-year-old level. And sometimes they think that's funny, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, I didn't know there still were reading levels at that age. And that's the person that's not going to be a good match for me.
Okay.
They didn't pass the litmus test. I don't know. You either click or you don't. Who can explain chemistry?
Yeah. Because I'm just asking that because obviously that's one of your characteristics, your sense of humor. So that's the reason why I think it's important. You're right. They understand your sense of humor. So because otherwise you'll just be wasting your time making your sense of humor, and it's not working, making jokes.
Sure.
Okay. So I know that. You said earlier that you probably could have thought about, seeing a Gentile. So do you think there's a possibility that you can actually look into that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if someone out there wasn't Jewish, but like I said, I'm not religious. I'm seriously not religious. So I would say a bigger deal breaker for me, other than not being Jewish, would be extremely religious in any religion, including Judaism. If I had a choice, everything being equal, if I had a choice of being with an Orthodox Jewish woman or a secular Gentile woman, I would probably be a better fit with the secular one.
Okay. All right. And so at this point, do you still want to have children?
I always felt I can't create a child on my own, so I thought that was something you need to find the partner first and then figure out as a team whether it made sense for you, and I guess that's still my view. If I met someone who was young enough and wanted kids, I'd be open to it. She better meet me soon, though, because I don't want to be I at least want to make it to his high school graduation.
Okay. That's right. And then how about as far as somebody who already have a child? Are you fine with that?
Yeah. I've dated women who have had kids before, and some of them have vastly different opinions on how to approach that. I dated one girl who had a son, and we dated for over a year, and I never met her son. Her agreement with her ex-husband was no kids in the relationship until you're close to marriage, and I never met her son. Then I dated another woman with a child, and she went the other way with it. It was so important to her that I bond with her son that she brought him into the relationship very quickly, and we often went out as a threesome. So obviously it's the parent's decision how to approach that, and I'll just go with it, and I'm open to whatever. But yeah, I'm open to someone who has a son. Interestingly enough, other than a son, I was out with a girl recently, and I was back at her house, and she had a cat, and she kept talking to her cat just like it was a person. So I'm thinking, whoa, this girl's crazy. So as soon as I got home, I told my dogs about it, and we all laughed.
Okay, all right. So I guess you're looking also for somebody who loves dogs.
Sure. I mean, it's not mandatory, but yeah, that would be great. I mean, I have two beautiful puppies, and they come with the package.
Okay, all right. So what you call that? If you can say something to the in front of the audience, and you can say okay, if your potential somebody is out there, what were you gonna say to this potential person who's listening?
I would say shoot me an email at stuartchaseman.com. You got to get in touch with me. We'll hang out. We could start out real casual. We could just have a drink, and whatever happens, happens. No stress or anything like that.
Okay. All right. So that's your ideal date, like, have a drink first and then, like, get to know each other.
I think that is probably the good way to go about it.
Okay.
Less pressure.
That's true. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And so what you call that, I really appreciate, you being over here. And then I'm sure that, if there are other questions, like, they're going to shoot an email to you because, like, we already have established that connection. Okay. You can shoot him an email. And then, like, if you are a potential person who's going to be interested to long-term relationship, right? Long-term relationship, like Stuart is open to that.
You can find me on social media, all the typical places, stuartchaseman.com. Stuartchaseman.com is my email.
Okay, all right. So for those people who are watching, I'm letting you know, just in case you're a professional in love, dating, and relationships, and you want to be over here in the show and give some nuggets to the other singles who are looking, just give me a holler. And if you're single and still looking and you're wondering how to navigate love, so come and message me so that we can actually connect, and then we can have you in the show and then maybe share some insights on how can we help you. And so I see you soon, and thank you again, Stuart.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.